What is up, everybody? Welcome to AK Plays. I'm AK. Let's play. Alright, everybody, so we're going to jump right into this first one. Situation here, I was playing with all these guys. We kind of all broke apart into being solo so we could do 1Vs and screw around with builds. Then a bunch of random people came, and so we all kind of split into our separate directions. So a couple of the people that we're fighting are friends, and we're just kind of goofing around. I mean, everyone's obviously still trying, but we're just separated. And that's why I have one guy on the squad that's, I think that's B, and I play with him all the time, if you watch the videos. So he was kind of our foreman. He just went rogue. He wasn't with the group because we couldn't pick him up. I had manhunt status because I was over here solo picking on everybody. But then everyone started coming at us. A whole nother foreman came from behind us later in the video. You'll see that. But basically we were screwing around. I had Lonestar on. B had Lonestar on. I'm not sure what the other guys had on at this point, but we're all screwing around, and gosh, this Lonestar rips. So that's going to bring me to kind of what I want to talk about. Lonestar is the future, in my opinion. Obviously, Striker is still the #1 build because it offers you that healing, but if you've noticed kind of a trend with this 1.8.2 meta, because everybody doesn't have to worry about Predator's Mark as much, because immunizers have become such a thing, everybody runs Adrenaline, and a lot of the Pred Marks notice that, and so they're disappearing. And with everybody running DPS builds, I've been running Lonestar. I've tried everything. You've seen I've put a couple of videos out. I put out Alpha Bridge. I put out a hybrid build. Both of them hit extremely hard, but then I ran good old Lonestar, which I've had as a loadout ever since, geez, I don't even know, maybe 1.7? Is that when we got loadouts? It was like one of the first builds I made because I loved Lonestar. I thought it always had great potential. And I ran it in this new kind of evolving meta that we have, and oh my gosh, it is the king of DPS builds. It melts Banshees like they're going out of style, melts Alpha Bridges, hybrid builds, everything. Even that hybrid that I made a couple of days ago, which hits like a truck, which I still stand by that. It hits, this is the only build other than Deadeye that hits harder. Which you'll see later in this video. I have a shot that lands I believe it was a 35.8 crit, which is insane. That's almost a 40k crit out of an LMG, which, dang, that's amazing. But you'll see that later in the video. I'm just going to kind of talk about why I think it's the future. I mean, you'll see I'm going to melt a couple people here. These are friends that we're fighting here, and so I know that they're good players, but nobody's immune to the Lonestar. If you're not seeing it coming, it melts you before you can really react. But either way, so that's kind of what I want to say, is Lonestar is so strong, and the way I have it built, it has enough stamina that you're not going to get burned down immediately. And if you have a Lonestar proc and you know how to run Lonestar, which I have a video kind of talking about using Lonestar, keeping distance, using funnels, and going for headshots, if you go by that, oh my gosh, this build hits so unbelievably hard. Like, I don't think many other DPS builds can keep up, and if you have a healer, which if you're lucky enough, as you can see here, I think we had a Reclaimer at this point. I think one of the guys put on Reclaimer. And if you get lucky enough to have a healer, then this build is unstoppable. I would even take it over Striker. If you were in a Reclaimer box and you're fighting a Striker with, I don't know if I'd take it with 100 stacks, but if they have a couple of stacks, then I would still probably do Lonestar and a Reclaimer against a Striker. I'm really a believer in Lonestar. I know I'll keep going over it, but I'm enthralled with this build. But either way, here we turn around, you can see there's 4 people behind us, and not only do I just melt that man back there, I'm going to go up and finish off this guy while he has a blue up, and then push on the rest of their team. But this clip we were goofing around, hitting super hard with the Lonestar, and having a ton of fun, and I never at any point did I think, I wish I had my Striker on. And that was kind of, I've had that with no other build. There's times where I'll run my Alpha, or I'll run my hybrid build, and I'll say to my team, hey, sorry guys, I wish I was running my Striker, or hey, I'll switch to my Striker. I ran Lonestar for, I think I've run it 3 days straight, and I have not at any point said I miss my Striker. Sure, Striker's still my favorite solo build because you need the healing. I've done solo manhunts with Lonestar a few times, but it's not quite the same. That's the only time I'd rather have Striker. Oh, here it is. Ready? Oh my gosh, a 35.8. Oh my. But either way, this is the only build where I've had that. I mean, there's other builds that in situations are going to be better than everything, but I'd say as a general purpose build, I think Lonestar is second only to Striker, and by a very small margin. Because the new evolving meta, less pred to worry about, everybody's running DPS builds, and I think this is the king of the DPS builds. So that's my 2 cents. You might not agree. I don't know. I've been loving this build. And by the way, this is still my Lonestar DPS Shredder build that I put out, gotta be a couple weeks now. But super fun, really enjoy this build, and I think it is the future of the Division 1.8.2. I'm going to be running this a bunch now. I'm going to probably still sprinkle some Striker in there just because it's a really good general purpose build as well. And then of course, Deadeye, D3, Reclaimer are going to still be very much used by me because they're definitely good in situations. Alright, and I'll let the rest of this manhunt play out.